He played it was like a joke. He came up and he was like, start talking to us in the middle of filming. And then we turned the camera on him and he's like, oh, now you owe me some pesos.
Kimcha guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Dhruti and I'm originally from India. I made it a mission to explore more of the world, but in a slower, more focused manner. So join me, my boyfriend Kevin, and my boo-boo Pilu on this journey to explore the gorgeous state of Oaxaca, where we will be starting off from Oaxaca city before making it all the way down to the coast. So there were two other things that we found very interesting in Mexico, and it was unlike anything I've seen anywhere. First of all, during the Day of the Dead celebrations and even beyond it, we have seen a lot of National Guards with automatic weapons.
M16s, M4s, fully automatic, just strapped to the core.
Right, and also bulletproof jackets, right? All of them, it felt like a paramilitary group or something, but we saw those a lot around the centro. What I really liked, which was very, very cool, is that there were a whole lot of women in it. And that is something I've just not seen and never realized it. So it's when I saw so many women as National Guards and police officers and whatnot, that's when I realized that, oh, we don't see very many of those. You know, it's always men in those positions. So it's very cool to see that, and it's very unusual to see this kind of security all throughout the city during festivities or in general.
One thing we've noticed is when you rent a car, or if you have a car with you, parking is not a problem. You can find parking anywhere, and pretty much parking is free. Holy crap, free! You can park anywhere and nothing, not a ticket, no one telling you to move your car. You literally can park almost anywhere.
Yeah, and I think this might be specific to Oaxaca, because we have seen videos of people, you know, in other cities in Mexico where you have to pay to park and so on and so forth. But so far we have not come across any paid parking. One of the things we really love about Mexico is that there are these small grocery shops, like shacks or just small vendor shops that sell groceries, and those groceries are pretty much cheaper and better quality than bigger stores.
It's nice because you don't have to travel that far if you need something like water or, you know, some fruit or some kind of breakfast stuff. I mean, it has all that stuff there and then a little bit more. So it's whatever you need is like conveniently in that spot.
Yeah, and it's almost on every corner, you know, it's not far off that you have to go to a particular spot for that. Unlike in the US, you do have farmers markets, but they only happen on weekends, or you have to go to a specific location. But here, there's every nook and corner you'll find that. So guys, we're in this very beautiful little quiet square, kind of quiet. I mean, it's a Sunday morning, so Sundays are usually calmer. But there's this beautiful park, seating park, kind of to ourselves, which if you were to see on a Friday night would not look like what it looks like right now. So continuing with the pros, I think one of the things we really love about being in Oaxaca, and actually even when I've gone to some other places in Mexico, that I've felt is that even though we might not know the language, no one makes a face, no one gives a hard time. They in fact are extremely helpful and try to help you out, even if it's like them using sign language or actually typing things out in Google Translate. They would do it. I remember I once went to the botanical garden. This was in 2019 when I knew no Spanish, and I was trying to talk to the guard, and I couldn't understand anything, and I was using Google Translate. She just took my phone and wrote what she wanted to convey, and you know, we went back and forth with it. So she had a lot of patience for me, and we have seen that with like everyone, every shopkeeper, everyone.
And they do it with a smile.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Very hospitable.
One thing that you should try here are something a little bit we're not used to in the U.S. It's Chapulins.
Buen precio, 200 pesos.
No, está bien. So we were trying to shoot at that.
Pick up your voice.
So we were trying to shoot at that park, and there was this artist who interrupted us.
He played it was like a joke. He came up and he was like, started talking to us in the middle of filming. And then we turned the camera on him and he's like, oh, now you owe me some pesos. Here, buy my artwork. And we're like, oh, no, thank you. So then he sat down and started showing us all his artwork, and we weren't even interested in purchasing. I mean, he had some decent artwork, but it wasn't anything that we would spend money on. And
So yeah, it was interesting anyways, but
Yeah.
we should continue with our second point, chapulins.
Chapulins, yes.
So chapulins are grasshoppers, and they come in different sizes. You can find very small ones to very big ones, and they are deep fried and they're covered with spices. They're actually very delicious. I have never actually eaten bigger ones, but I've had smaller ones, and I didn't even know they were grasshoppers. I went to a bar with some friends, and there were some chips. So my friends were like topping it with sour cream, guacamole, and this spicy stuff. And I'm like, looks awesome. And I ate it, and it was so good. And then I came to know they were grasshoppers. So that's some context on what chapulins are.
The first time I had them, I didn't know I was eating them as well. They were actually mixed in with my esquites, and it was not that bad. I didn't know until I looked at it and I saw it, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to let this go to waste. So I started eating it, and it tasted good.
And you had the big ones. They were not small ones, so you could see the entire face and body, and I was like
Legs.
creeped out. I mean, it's just me. We're not used to it, but the point is, it is a Mexican delicacy, and if you take away the mental barrier, which I have not been able to do myself, especially if they're bigger chapulins, but they're very tasty. And it's a normal, really good snack here. In fact, when you walk by many different vendor stalls, you see them frying chapulins in front of you. You see worms, live worms in containers that are dripped in spices. It's kind of. It's a.
You eat them alive?
I don't know. I've never tried it. I think I just don't know. But I know they put them in mezcal, and I think they fry them. Yeah, I know that there's a fried version. Now, if there's a live eaten version, then I don't know. But chapulins and worms.
Earthworms.
What are they? Silkworms?
I don't know. I don't. They're definitely not earthworms. Earthworms are the long, stringy kind.
Okay, chapulins and worms.
Yeah.
Some kind of worms. Maggoty worms.
Maggoty worms.
Maggoty worms are a delicacy here. Obviously, we are no experts in it because we didn't eat much of it, but that's the thing. There's some live things that get fried and you can eat them. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is people usually believe that tuk tuks or rickshaws are only found in Thailand and India, or whatever else, some other Asian countries, but you find them here as well. And we saw a lot of those near when we were on our way to Mitla. So there's a bunch of rickshaws you'll see, and they are also a Mexican thing.
Yeah, we saw them in the mountains too when we were driving in the mountains. Remember
You saw rickshaws in the mountains?
Oh yeah, those little mountain villages. There was a bunch of rickshaws.
Oh yeah. That one. Okay, I didn't see them going up the mountain. But they were on the mountain.
Yes.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
In our Airbnbs that we stayed at, we've noticed that they don't really have electric stoves. They have gas stoves.
Usually in the US you see more of electric stoves, but this is a change, and I had forgotten, or I was nervous about using gas stoves because in India we have those gas cylinders, and it's kind of dangerous if you forget to switch off the stove or the flame goes out and you forget and you smell gas. You shouldn't even turn on a switch because it could spark something and it can create an explosion. So we were always paranoid about it. So I was always scared of gas stoves, and now I have to face them again. And I mean, they're not necessarily a bad thing. It's just my paranoia that kicks in from India. But it's a big deal for me because electric stoves, you don't have to be as responsible, but gas stoves like are a different deal, and that's mostly what you would find here.
The moral of the story is
Yes.
Turn off your gas stoves before they turn you off.
So this is an interesting one, and it's maybe it's more for the women out there. I don't know, but in 2019. When I came to Oaxaca the first time, I had, very normal clothes, very like baggy t-shirts and like shorts, which is what I usually wear at home, and a few good clothes. But when I came here, I felt so out of place because everyone here, especially if you go to nightclubs or even in general you go to restaurants, everyone is so well dressed. The fashion sense of people here is just really, really good. Men, women, both of them. So I made a decision that next time I come, I'll have some more decent clothes. But that's the thing, just to be prepared, not to take it like, because I thought of it like a beach town, and I know Oaxaca had beaches, but Oaxaca is a city and also a state. So it's a huge area. So for me, without researching and without knowing much about the place, there's a charm to not researching so much because there's a surprise factor, but this was more like a shock factor because I was just not very well dressed. I missed, not that anybody gave me a bad eye for that or people were judgmental, but I myself felt very weird about it, and I was like, everybody looks so good. I want to look a little better. I don't look good. So that's just one point.
You look good now.
Thank you, sir.
We missed the fashion train a while ago.
Another thing I noticed as a female is that in many gyms, and I'm not saying all the gyms, there have been some gyms that in the US when all the women are in the cardio section, and if you go into the weight section, like there's a bunch of guys and they're like, what are you doing here? Sometimes you get those looks. I've gotten them a few times. But here in Oaxaca, the two gyms, we have only tried two gyms to be fair, everybody is working together. There is no unspoken partition between the two genders when it comes to working out. Everybody is working out together, which I thought was really, really cool. One of the other things we also noticed is there's tons of stray dogs, and they go around many a times in groups. And as an Indian, I mean, that's not a shocker or doesn't surprise me or isn't like, oh my God, what is going on? I think there's, it might bother, I know some of my American friends, just observing like animals in rain, animals in heat. I know it bothers a lot of people who are not used to seeing it, but I think it is also part of being one with nature. When I was in India, we had pet cats, but they didn't live with us. They were wild cats who were less of a pet and more of a friend. They would live in the wild and they would come hang out with us, play with us, and then they would go back out. So that's the kind of living situation is here as well, that you respect the nature around you. And animals, I feel, do not belong in houses. They are supposed to be free, but different countries have different rules, and I respect all the rules. I also respect what I see in Mexico because that's a different perspective that not every country would understand if they haven't been exposed to that kind of a lifestyle.
Yeah.
There was a book I read called Call of the Wild, where there was this dog which was very comfortable in its owner's house, and eventually it had a very hard life, but it was a free dog, and it was happier with that. I think freedom is, there is no measure for it. There's that perspective.
Well, I like to bring up the fact that it's really cool that you'll see these dogs walking around the streets, and they'll be in groups, sometimes like 2, 3, 4, then sometimes up to like
10,
10 dogs walking around in a pack.
Yeah.
And they stick together and they help each other out, and it's really cool to see that happen,
None of these dogs look like they're suffering. I mean, some of them might be like limping here and there, but they all look well fed. So in India, like when we have stray dogs or cows or whatever, we go and feed them. but we never try to own them unless it belongs to a farmer. The cow belongs to a farmer, but that's a way of life, and it's a way of life here as well, which I really respect.